Skin was a grayish blue, more blue than gray. Just standing around the bed. And then next thing I know, they just walked right through my wall. A hole opened up in my wall and they left.
You mean like a portal or something like this?
And then right after they left, I could move around again.
You mean like a portal opened up and they stepped through it?
Exactly.
Welcome back to the I Jupiter podcast. I'm your host, Tom Franklin, and today we have on Mike and Jenny Adkins. Jenny is a moderator for the I Jupiter. She does a fantastic job over there. She's always helping me out, posting links, telling people to like and subscribe to the channel, just like I'm going to do right now. Do me a favor, if you like what I do, like and subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, hit that bell notification for YouTube. You can follow me on Rumble, and please go ahead and download any MP3 episodes that you like on any of your your podcast players. And if you could do me a favor, go over and leave me a rating and tell me if you like the podcast or not. That would be very beneficial to the show. You can also become a member and get episodes early. You can also get yourself some merchandise. I have some t-shirts, some hats, some posters. I have not fixed the spelling yet, so I'm sure someone eventually will catch me on that, but it's DECRISP. I think that's even wrong. There's an S missing in there somewhere. Nonetheless, you guys can do that as well. And so with all that out of the way, let's welcome to the I Jupiter podcast, Mike and Jenny Adkins.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing today on a fun Saturday?
Good. We're doing real good.
Yeah, so it was really weird. So this morning I wake up and Jenny sent me a video over on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger. You guys can contact me there too if you have any anything you want to talk to me about. Also at the iJupiterPodcast@gmail.com. So Jenny contacts me and she sends me this video, and it was like some step down grass in the backyard, and I just said, what do you think this is? And, you guys think it's Sasquatch activity? And I was like, okay, that's rather interesting. And I said, you want to come on and talk about it? And now here we are. And then I actually called you guys, and Mike's like, no, dude, I got a lot more than that to talk about. And I was like, okay, we're definitely doing what it is today. So do me a favor, guys, tell me a little bit, or tell my audience or the audience a little bit about yourselves and a little bit about your company that you guys have begun.
Well, we're just two old folks that really don't do much. We're disabled, and we like to help out with the community and do what we can, and that's about it. We're boring.
we have a business started. We make tumblers.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're not making any profit off of them. We're doing a lot of donating.
You do me a favor, pull that up to the camera a little bit, Jenny, so people can see it. Go ahead and pull it up and turn it a little bit. This is what they make, guys. So tell me the name of your company, Mike.
Mystical Mountain Creations.
Mystical Mountain Creations. Description and down below. So is this right, you guys? If you want to make one for somebody and they want to, some logo for a company, for a podcast, or something personal for birthdays or Christmas.
We do.
Yes.
We do custom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you guys make that, in a percentage of the proceeds go to the survivors and people of Western North Carolina from Hurricane Helena. Is this correct?
We give them the haulers.
For this organization here.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
We've
And
got,
yeah.
we've got about 15 cups back there that they're gonna get with like next week, so they can disperse amongst their crew and sell. So just we're donating them.
Oh, that's awesome. You guys actually made me one. It just hadn't gotten here yet because I would definitely be sporting it and drinking. I'm always drinking out of my, my Coke bottles. Whatever.
I tried as hard as I could to match the colors on your cup with the planet Jupiter.
Yeah.
And the designs to the planet Jupiter. So
dude,
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
To reiterate my what I said a second ago, so proceeds of a certain percent of the proceeds go to help out the Hurricane Helena victims. This is correct.
Rebuilding the hollers.
All right, guys. So go down there if you want to help out the people because the government didn't help. So we're gonna do everything we can on our behalf. Go down there, get yourself something awesome. Give it to your mom. Today's Mother's Day. For the people recording, this is going to come out in about 3 or 4 weeks. And give it to somebody for their birthday or whatever, and help out simultaneously to people who need help.
You can find us on TikTok under Mystical Mountain Creations. You can find us on Facebook under Mystical Mountain Creations. Just DM us. Right now, we're in the process of building a website.
Okay, that's cool, man.
Once we get all that done, we'll post that and let everybody know. But right now, we're taking orders for 20-ounce.
20-ounce ones, okay. Guys, put your beer in there, put your coffee in there. Awesome.
But we do custom work, whatever you want on it. We can do, like, this is my woodsy camouflage pattern here that I created.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's really cool. Wow, the picture on the side. Yeah, man. That's cool. So you have like a machine. Okay. All right. So the other reason, let's put it that way, for the show today is, Jenny, you sent me a video this morning. Maybe you can tell me about what happened. When did you guys record that?
We just recorded it this morning.
Okay.
We was actually running down the dogs. The dogs got loose, and I was going up the driveway, and I noticed all along the driveway for about 30 feet, all the grass was laid over flat. Which first thing that come to my mind was deer, bedding out there at night. You see it a lot, but it was just weird. It wasn't like that yesterday. But then I get to noticing, and there's footprints. What it is on that side of the driveway, on the right side of the driveway, it's like on one side of the driveway, we have an actual creek that runs down from Toad River. On the other side of the driveway, we have just a drainage ditch from the springs on top of the mountain. We have a lot of springs on top of the mountain, so it's just drainage from the springs. And I noticed all these footprints going down, all the way down through the mud. I can't say it was a Bigfoot. I can't say what it was, but it was just awfully strange. Which, when I go up on the mountain, up behind our house, that's where our spring is. That's where we get all of our fresh water from. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, I go up there. I have to clean the spring out every once in a while. About once a month, I have to go there and clean the spring out. When I'm up there, I always do a lot of wandering around, a little hiking, and I started noticing trees broken and twisted and bending down.
Okay, you need to document that. You need to document that.
And laying over. And trees arched. A lot of weird stuff. I go through Harley Owens' videos, and I see some of the stuff he posts. And I actually took pictures of it last time and sent them to Harley.
Okay, yeah. So that video, I can put that video at the end of this episode so that people can check it out. That's correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Any videos we send you can post.
Okay, perfect. So I got permission. That way no one can bother me on YouTube.
Yeah. But when I'm up there, whenever I'm up on the mountain, I always explore, but I've been noticing footprints. You can't really tell what they are. They're a little bit bigger than my footprints. They're probably about 2 inches, 3 inches wider, and probably about 4 inches longer than my feet. But I can't really tell what they are because it's where the leaves are impacted.
Right.
You can see the footprints where the leaves are impacted, but there's no definition there. You can't see no toes. It's just where the leaves are pressed down. So I can't give any definite proof on what it's making those.
Yeah, but I would imagine the tree breaks and the twist. That is that's quite a bit of sign for this type of activity. How big are the trees that you're seeing?
Probably about 12, 13 foot tall, but they're broken, probably about 6 to 8 foot tall. They're broken and twisted. I'm thinking if it's a squatch, it's a juvenile. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that sounds the description of what you're telling me. The impression's not being, because they're not as heavy then. Because
Right.
normally they like to do it at about 7 to 8 feet. Adults. So if you're around 6 to 7, that seems to be corresponds with a lot of the information that I've gotten on the show. So yeah, that you should if you get a chance, maybe you can send me a picture or two of those breaks, and I can also add them on the show.
Yeah, I'll have to Jenny send you the pictures. I also found a structure.
Okay.
It was weird. It was only probably about 4 foot tall, but it was a bunch of sticks stacked up. And this is wooded area. Nobody ever goes back there. I'm the only one that ever goes back there to clean the spring out. But it was sticks TP'd up, all crossing each other. It was unique.
Right. It doesn't look like windfall or something, right?
Right. It wasn't like a tree fell or a branch fell. This was actually, they looked like they were placed there. And I found that to be pretty unique. So as soon as I saw that, I started snapping pictures. But
okay, cool.
Yeah, tell me there's something going on up on the mountain. Not really sure though.
Absolutely, you're gonna have, and Harley's gonna come down. I think you said that he's gonna come down.
Yeah, Harley's supposed to be coming up sometime, and do some hiking and see what's going on.
All right, I'll give him a ring up. I'll call him up to make sure that he comes. Okay, I'll take care of it. He's a good friend of mine. He's a young man. He's younger than me too. So he's 24, 3, something like that. He's a young guy. 6'6" though. He's like almost tall as one of the Bigfoots out there. So how long has this activity been happening? This particular type of activity
started right after Hurricane Helene.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because we didn't have no power for like 2 months.
Yeah,
that's right.
So we spent a lot of time sitting outside, especially at night, that's what we do anyway. We sit outside around the fire and
that's awesome.
Music. That's the way we live out here in the mountains. It's pretty cool.
Oh but man, I'm coming. I'm coming.
Come on.
I'm coming. Just all I need is my hammock in the corner. All I need is my hammock.
You, Harley, and Jim. Come on up.
Yeah. Oh, and Jim. Oh, yeah. Jim Powell from Fisher Spams Night Watch. Yes. Yeah. So this has been approximately 7 months?
September, October.
Mm-hmm.
We started hearing whooping.
Whoop, really?
Whoop.
And we got it recorded.
It got to where I started I have a digital recorder that I bought when we were having paranormal experiences, but I started setting a digital recorder outside at night just to record it, and it's really weird. We'd be sitting out there, and you could hear one coming from one side, and then another one talking back to it from the other side.
Okay.
And it's going on for hours, just back and forth to each other.
And you were saying that you have a hill there. Are you guys up on higher ground?
We're on a mountain. We're on a mountain.
Oh, so you didn't get all the worst of it like the other.
Everywhere around us, 2 minutes from us up at Tipton Hill, they got destroyed.
Okay.
Houses got washed off their foundations. We could look out our front window during the storm, and we could see the heavier stuff on the other side of the mountain.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So that makes sense.
Unscathed, but 2 minutes away, destroyed.
Yeah.
Everywhere was destroyed.
Yeah, what I'm trying to lead to is that, when something like this happens, like this natural disaster that destroyed and so many lives, and these creatures, they're out there in the forest in their designated areas. I imagine they're around like the river or something like that. I imagine down the mountain there's a river of sorts or a larger creek. Depends on what country.
It's like I was telling Jenny, who's to say that they didn't lose loved ones during the storm, and they're out there mourning just like other people were out there mourning.
Yeah, they made their way up to higher ground. You were telling me there's some wooded area behind you. There's creeks. So they have water, they have food, they have protection, they have shelter, and it just seems to make sense. So after this disaster happened, that you started noticing all this happening around your house.
Right. Yeah, we're in a very secluded area.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
We have nothing but woods and mountain in front of the house. We have woods and mountain behind us. Our closest neighbors are probably about a quarter mile that way and a quarter mile that way.
Oh man,
We're
you're
kind
living a
of,
dream. This is this is what I always wanted. I wanted to move back to the States, but it just didn't work out that way. It was in the height of COVID and I couldn't get my paperwork through. So that's why I'm down here in Mexico. I bought 10 acres down here, and my closest neighbor is freaking, I don't know, 2 miles. And that's just one side. If you
this
go
was
behind me,
actually
you ain't gonna hit
remade.
nothing for maybe, if you drive that dirt road, I'd imagine every bit of 40 minutes. So I mean, and there's nothing back there either. It's just a highway, the next highway. So I'm out in the middle of nowhere too. So I enjoy that as well. I happen to be living in the city at the moment, but I'm going to be moving back out, and once I get everything built up and everything. So I love that. That's what I am too. I'm a country boy at heart. I'm from the city, but I love rifles. I like my music. I like the barbecue. I love the plant stuff, and that's what I'm all about. All right, so we called each other today because it's always helps. We know each other kind of peripherally. You guys said, hey, I'll make a cup for you, let's promote the channel, and I was like, okay, let's do some cross promotion, we'll help out any way we can. And I wanted to hear you guys' voice. And Mike, you were telling me that you've been having things happen to you ever since you were young. Could you maybe like tiptoe into the water and start us on how all this began?
Yeah, let me start from the very beginning.
Okay.
When I was about 8 years old, my dad would have to go outside in the middle of the night and get me from outside in the front yard. And the doors would be locked in the house. And my dad had a thing about walking through the house, checking on everything in the middle of the night if he got up.
Is he a former vet?
What's that?
Is he a former vet?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay, there it is. That's what we do.
Yeah, old Navy Seabee.
From what, the Nam or World War II or Korea?
He was Nam era.
Nam era. Okay, dude, that's my dad didn't go. He was like 2-3 years too young, but all my uncles went. So yeah, man. So dude, my uncle used to walk around at night, 2 o'clock in the morning with a pistol and checking each room. He was a grunt in the Marines, and he came back with I think it was 88 pounds. My dad was telling me, hookworms, was in the hospital 6 months. So, and he would do that too. So it's kind of par for the course when I'm a vet myself. They come back, and it's part of the thing. So that's so odd that he would get up. I mean, because that's a normal thing for him. But you're outside of the house, young, and the doors are locked.
Right. Not knowing how I got out there.
Really?
Yeah, whoa. Just stand in the middle of the yard in a trance, and he'd have to wake me up and then take me back in the house. But so let's just see where I can start this and where it makes sense. We started having paranormal. Well, I've always dealt with paranormal activity no matter where I lived. From the time I got out of the military up until now, always had paranormal activity in every house. Never understood why it was it was always just a normal thing to me. But getting back to the subject, we started having paranormal activity down in Florida where we lived, and it was just odd stuff happening. I think she sent you a couple of videos of stuff that we recorded that was going on.
This was the house in Florida, the stuff you sent me.
Yeah, yeah. This was when we were living in Florida down in
Okay, I'll put those on at the end of the episode as well. Okay, cool.
And but we started recording. I felt like something was going on at night, and I've always had odd experiences all my life. And so we started having paranormal experiences. So we had a paranormal group come out to investigate. We were hearing phantom whistles coming through the house.
What's a phantom whistle?
Where you just hear a whistle come out of nowhere.
Like a person whistling or like a train or something?
Yeah, like a person whistling.
Okay, that is so freaking scary, dude. Oh my God.
Coffee pot turning on and off by itself. Just odd things. Orbs, not like the orbs you see in the sky or little bitty orbs. We were actually seeing orbs the size of softballs going through the house, glowing orange, like an orangish yellow glow.
Yeah.
I mean, they were tipping right through the house, and it was like all the time. And just a lot of weird stuff happening. I sent you a video of this when I was sleeping, and the corner of something that was folded up at the foot of the bed on the kennel, and it kept popping up. like just out of nowhere. And I caught it, and I would record while I'm sleeping, get up before I go to work, and check the recordings. Well, I saw that, and it went on for like 3 hours like that. And then
Okay.
that's when, I mean, it sent chills down me. I'm like, this is going on while I'm sleeping.
Sleeping, right?
You know what is causing it? And
Right.
it was just a bunch of stuff happening. So we got the paranormal group out there, and they started doing some investigating. And it was like they would go in one room, set up their REM pod and their K2 and all that, set it up, and I would go in there, and everything would start going off. And I would leave the room, and it would stop. They'd go set up another room. I'd walk in there just to see what was happening, and then it would start back up again. I'd leave the room, it would start.
Okay.
And so we never really thought nothing of that until later on. They came out like 3 or 4 times to investigate. And every time they never really got any significant evidence except for everything just going off like it was. Didn't get no EVPs, nothing like that. Well, they finally brought a medium out, and the medium walked through the house. She's a really good medium. And walked through the house. She said, there's nothing paranormal in this house. She said, everything that's happening in this house is coming from Mike. And so we were wondering why. Well, they had a trimeter. I don't know if you ever heard of a trimeter or not.
Yes, I have.
Okay, it reads electric.
Right. Electromagnetic
Yeah.
frequencies in the air. Yes.
And so they broke out the trimeter, and the baseline was a 7. Baseline was a 7. They went around to everybody, and we were outside. We were outside when they did the trimeter. And baseline was a 7, went around to everybody. It stayed at a 7 when they touched everybody with it. They got close to me, and it went from 7 to 70.
Okay. What do you think?
It jumped 10 times, and they hadn't even touched me with it. They just got like 2 feet away from me, and it jumped up to 70.
What do you think that is, Mike? What would you think? What would you think that is? What's the reason for that? What would you speculate?
They said when they actually got MUFON and everything involved. They got MUFON involved because the reason why my dad was getting me from outside in the middle of the night was I was having extraterrestrial experiences too, which is something I've dealt with on and off all my life. The only way I would escape it for a while is when I move. When I move, I'm good for about 6 months, and then it'll start back up again.
And you've been having this in your current location as well?
It's just started back up again a couple months ago.
Oh shit, dude.
Yeah, we've been here almost a year.
Okay.
And it just started back up again.
Okay, could you maybe whichever one you feel most comfortable with, maybe kind of tell me a little bit about that?
Let me see. When I was living in Indiana, I had my daughter and her family living with me. And I had been having experiences, but they needed a place to live, so I moved them in with me. I lived by myself at the time. And but I got up one morning, went about my normal routine, went and got my coffee, sat down and watched the news, drinking my coffee. And my daughter says, "What'd you do to your arm?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "Your wrist." And I looked down at my wrist, and I had a perfect rectangular, I couldn't even call it a scab. It looked like it was cauterized.
Okay.
There was a thin piece of meat taken from my arm, probably about 1/32 of an inch thick.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And you could actually, if you look at a certain angle, you could actually see how deep it went. But it was no blood, no pain, no nothing. It was just like already scarred over, like cauterized.
And it was perfectly rectangular.
Yeah, perfectly clean, rectangular. And I'm like, I do not know. I turned up the bed sheets and the blanket trying to find blood. Couldn't find no blood or nothing. I'm like, I don't know what happened. Okay. And my daughter and Jenny's the only people I've ever opened up to about my experiences.
Okay. And
my daughter really got her eyes open and started believing me after this little incident. And she always doubted me before until she, saw the evidence for herself.
Right.
What was funny about it is 2 weeks after I woke up with that on my wrist, it bubbled up like a blister. And that's what shocked me. It was 2 weeks after I woke up like that, it bubbled up like a blister, and it felt just like a burn.
No kidding.
2 weeks after it happened, I thought that was weird too. I don't know. It's I don't know. I was talking to Mufon about it. Mufon said something that sounded like maybe I was exposed to some radiation.
Hmm.
You might have caused it to blister up later on, like it did.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah.
Do you have any memories of any of this? Like, is there any, like, I'm sure it's probably bits and pieces, I'm sure,
I
right?
have bits and pieces of memories. Um, some of them aren't bad. Some of them are kind of weird. Some of them are seriously unbelievable. That's why I've never really
Try me.
talked about it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, look, man, whatever you feel like sharing with me, you can share with me. But like,
I
it
felt
might
some-
help. It might help. I find it to be like when you're speaking about these kind of things, they can be very uncomfortable because they're very traumatic, as well as no one believes you, as well everyone's just kind of like turns a cold shoulder to you. But that's not what we do here. If you whatever it is that you feel like sharing with me or not, that's you use your own volition, and tell me the best you can or not what it is that you're experiencing. Because maybe we can help. Maybe I can help you. I did, like I said, I already told you.
I've experienced is during sleep paralysis.
Oh God, I've had that.
Well,
Yeah.
this is went on during sleep paralysis. I had woken up in the middle of the night when I lived in Tennessee. Tennessee was very active for me. I had
It's
a
an
lot
active
of
place. It's an active place.
experiences in Tennessee. Woke up in the middle of the night, and my ex-girlfriend at the time was sound asleep. I woke up, couldn't move. I could move my eyes around and look around, but I couldn't move. And around my bed were three, I'd say between 6 to 8 foot tall beings in black jumpsuits
Wow.
or jumpers, long sleeves, real tight fitting, slender, very slender. Skin was a grayish blue, more blue than gray. Just standing around the bed. And then next thing I know, they just walked right through my wall. A hole opened up in my wall and they left.
You mean like a portal or something like this?
And then right after they left, I could move around again.
You mean like a portal opened up and they stepped through it?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's happened a couple of times. And it's not that what gets me is it's not just one certain race or one certain species, it's multiple species.
Okay.
I've seen at least 3 different species. I've seen the grays, the blue ones, well actually 4. I've seen insectoids.
Okay, like the mantis.
One of the scariest ones I ever seen was a brownish green reptilian.
The draconians.
Probably looked like he weighed about maybe 300 pounds, nothing but bulk and muscle.
And this was always in your room, or were you ever somewhere you didn't?
No, I have woken up on cold tables a couple times.
All right, Mike.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Okay.
On cold tables.
I believe you, buddy. I really do. I don't know how much you watch the show. I know that Jenny's very active in the show. Thank you so much, Jenny, for all that. You've been very helpful.
Oh, I watch you too. I'm just sitting back watching it when she's on there too.
He's in the background.
Oh, he's in the background working. Okay, I see how this works. This is one of those kind of relationships. Okay, all right, Jenny, good for you. And I just want you to know, I mean, you see the people that I've had on, like it'd be Michael Cameron, or in his experiences, or many others that have come on the show who've had just everything under the sun kind of comes through the filter of the show. And I just want you to know that the way you've got, this is what gives me validity for me to what you're telling me now, is that when I called you, you were telling me that you're very kind of guarded about this. And it's completely understandable to be that way. But at the same time, when I just kind of ask a little bit, you give me what you want to give me. And that's more than enough than anything that I need. I just want you to know that it's okay, dude. There's a lot of us out there. And if you're in the community, because we have a few different channels. There's 3 of us, 4 if you count Paranormal Paul. And we'll listen to you, dude, and maybe we can help. I don't know how, but I do know a certain person that we have mentioned. I won't say his name now because I kind of want him to not, feel that kind of any kind of pressure or oddness to it. But but maybe this gentleman can remote view it, and actually, because he's been very helpful to many people, he's been helpful to me. He's actually written me saying, because I was going through a tough time, and he wrote me. He goes, "Hey, the spirits are talking to me, and they know you're going through a tough time, and I just want you to know to keep doing what you're doing, and everything's going to be okay." And I go, "You want to give me more details?" He's like, "No, bye." but at the same time, I was feeling something. I was experiencing some type of doubt, some type of pressure. And, you're saying that you have PTSD because of this. I have PTSD as well because of my military experiences. And that I didn't know it until later in life. It's one of those things like, I'm not the same I was before I was in. And I just want you to know, you are not alone. And it's okay that you are sharing this with me. If you know what I mean, I want you to feel comfortable. You guys are a lovely couple. You look great. And
I put eyelashes on for this.
You sound like my girlfriend. She before she goes out, she straightens her beautiful black hair. She puts on her makeup. She's Mayan and she's gorgeous. And then she puts on her little eyelashes. And I'm like, I'm not going out with you, right? She goes, "No, I just want to look good." I'm like, "All right, baby." And she comes back and you can feel the wind moving.
No, my thing is, I've spent my whole life wondering why I've always dealt with paranormal, why always stuff happening wherever, no matter where I lived, it's always good for a while, and then stuff will start happening again. And
yeah, right.
But this whole thing, I think this happened for a reason. This whole paranormal thing and everything, and how it came about. How this whole thing came about with what was going on in Florida was we had a really bad experience with some drama and family members. I ended up getting in a lot of trouble. And then you're talking to a man that's ex-military, never even had a speeding ticket, never been in trouble with the law, never even been pulled over. Squeaky clean record, ruined. So I had a lot of hatred in my heart at the time. And every time, and after I learned all this, I look back at every time I've had stuff like this happen, it's always been a very stressful time in my life.
Okay.
And so one thing I have learned, and maybe I can get this out, maybe if you're having, actually a couple messages, that maybe if people are having paranormal experiences, it may not be paranormal. It may be poltergeist that you're creating yourself and manifesting yourself.
Absolutely.
What I was doing. And
that's what I felt. I've seen poltergeist activity myself. It is insane, man.
It is. And people don't know they can create that. People can create poltergeist activity.
Right.
And especially with people that has psychological gifts like psychokinesis, that you actually have that gift to manifest the stuff. And me, I went 50 something years without knowing that I even had this. People will say, "Well, why don't you learn how to use your gifts?"
Yeah.
For healing, maybe Reiki healing, or use my my empath and my mediums
abilities. Yeah.
Help people out, And I'm like, because I went 50 something years not even knowing I had it. Always wondered why I felt like I felt.
Yeah, dude. But today is
when I was around certain people, or when I felt happier when I was around certain people, is because of my empath. And I never understood it, but now that I understand it, I always keep my emotions in check now.
Yeah,
if I feel myself getting aggravated, I go meditate, or I go off by myself. I relax.
Yeah, man. It doesn't matter how you get to the road that is less traveled. God always has a plan for you, whatever that may be. However you get to that road, you get there. But also remember, dude, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Exactly. You know what I mean? One thing
Tony has done, it has made me, like, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. I grew up in a very religious household. And I got away from that. I wouldn't even call it a religion. I call it more of a cult. But I wanted to get away from that because I got tired of people telling me how I was supposed to live, at the age I was. And but coming from a Pentecostal background, I kind of fell away. But this past year, couple of years, has opened me up spiritually. Not in a religious way, but in a spiritual way.
All right, man.
Connecting with my spirit guide. stuff like that, and it's opened my eyes to a lot. I've always been a big conspiracy theorist, but I've
Oh,
never gotten into the whole spiritual thing.
oh, dude, what? That's interesting. Very interesting. You and I have walked very similar paths. I just started maybe when I was in my mid-30s. You know what I mean? Like things just like the world got heavy for me. Shit got
Right.
real. You know, like is this what I want to do with my life? A lot of existential, like stuff happened in my head too. And so conspiracy. Like if you ever watched Sam Tripoli, do you know Sam Tripoli from Tinfoil Hat? He's like one of my favorite podcasts. I still listen to him, dude. He will say that conspiracy leads to spirituality. And it's so true because when you look at it and you see what's going on in the world, we all know this is not by chance.
Exactly.
You know, it really isn't.
Especially when you finally wake up and you see how things really are. I woke up about 3 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago when I finally woke up. But I've always been into conspiracies. I was disabled for like 16 years. And so I spent all my spare time being creative or research.
All right, dude.
Going down
man. Yes, you are creative. You're like me, dude. I paint. I can't see my paintings on the wall, but I'm a painter. You know that. And I make music. Oh, okay, yeah. What is that? Like with the hot iron thing? Yeah, dude.
Yeah, this picture over here.
Yeah, the owl. That's an owl, right?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, dude. Because we're very similar, my friend. It's good that we met you. I meet you. I also enjoy my stuff, and I do. I'm not a drinker. I really, and I'll have a beer too.
I used to be. I haven't drank.
It's boring. It's boring. It's the same thing. You wake up the next day, you have a headache. You feel like crap. You got to go to the toilet more often than you need to, and you ruin your whole day. But with this stuff, you wake up, you might be a little foggy, you might be a little, you're not crisp on the edges, but you can cook your bacon, you can get shit going, you can get things moving. We're very similar, Mike.
Unless I
yes, sir. We're very similar, man. We're very similar, and it led me to spirituality. I'm not a religious person either. My mom's Catholic.
I don't
my
believe
dad's
in religion. I could get on the subject of religion and tell you what I think about it.
Yeah,
and going up in the Pentecostal church and getting out of it, and then being woke up and seeing what it's really like. It's a cult. Any religion is a cult.
Okay, all right,
That's
buddy.
not what God intended for this to be like. That's not what Jesus intended for this.
No, there's no middleman.
Man who believed in waking up, opening up your spiritual eye, your third eye, and doing things that he was able to do. He was like a teacher.
Yes, a philosopher. Yes. I'm with you, dude. Me and you, we're gonna go bowling, Mike. This is what I do, man. What you're saying is me. It's me, dude. Like I didn't even accept. Like I used to be a devout atheist for years, man. Like I'm just like, okay, I got to like 17, 18, 19, something like that, and I was like, oh, this is the back door to like a lot of stuff, and people just follow this stuff. And then I went through and read all the books from the Four Horsemen of the of the atheism, Dawkins, all those people, Hitchens, all those guys. Read their books, watched their videos, watched their interviews, and then like stuff started happening, conspiracy theories, stuff, and then I was like, no, dude, there is a God. It's just not.
Exactly.
It's not the church, dude. It's personal.
It's what's in here?
Yes.
Your God is right here.
Yes.
That's where God is.
All right. That's enough with agreeing.
I could go on and on about this whole church religion thing.
We'll do another episode just about that, dude. That is my thing, man. And I think and the thing is, I have no hate in my heart for people who are religious, because for them, no. But for the most,
drinks their own Kool-Aid.
Absolutely, and that's also the American spirit, right? Freedom of religion, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Oh, so we're also on the same page. You guys pro-gun?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good to go, buddy. All right, so me and you are. And Jenny too. Jenny's over there agreeing. So, Jenny, so like, okay, you've experienced some of this things that have happened when Mike is having, like, he to kind of go behind the wall a little bit. He was telling me, like, he could even be, working and having a rough day, and things would happen around the house. Could you like maybe tell us a little about that?
Oh yeah, weird things would happen. I got to the point where I wouldn't even sleep in the bedroom. I wouldn't sleep in that room. I slept on the couch. And when he'd be at work, I'd have things like my radio popping on on my phone, my Pandora.
Yeah.
It would pop on the phone, and I was like, okay, I didn't push that button. It's been sitting over there on the table, and things would move. Things would the whistling. I would hear.
That is weird, dude. That whistling stuff drives me. You telling me that? Because I always thought it would be like the voices. Like for me, the disembodied voices, like which I've heard here on my ranch. You know, sleeping in a hammock in the middle of nowhere and in the fucking jungle. And but a whistle in your house is very unnerving.
Yes.
We were sitting in the living room one night. We're just watching TV, and we lived in the suburb. I mean, our neighbors were like 10 feet from us on both sides, right? Nobody had any animals around there except for dogs. We're sitting there watching TV, and off to the right is a horse. You sound like a horse. Name. Yes. And we both looked. We both looked at him like, tell me what you just told.
So your guys are like, when this happens to you, there's a part of you that hopes that you're either watching Andy Griffith or Mr. Ed, correct? Okay. All right. Of course.
What's funny is something will happen in the house, and we both hear it or we both see it, but we'll sit here and wait for the other one to see. Did you see it? Did you hear it?
Okay. Yeah, I think. But it's very interesting. This is what's that you were telling me about. So when I think like when you're in this state of anger and unhappiness or confusion or you know what I mean, what happens is it lowers your to be spiritual. Let's go. Your vibe gets like lowered, and these things then feed through you and go, and because your energy signature is also probably connected to your house. That's why when you move. This is just me shooting in the dark, guys. You go ahead and correct me anytime. Right. And you were telling me on the phone that like when you started to calm down and like come back to your center, open your third eye and love and all that stuff, that things kind of they calm down. That is such an interesting. This is probably what the episode is going to be about.
You know, it went up to its peak to the most activity we've ever seen, and then once I realized that it was me. Once they told me that, you know, you're the one causing this, you need to keep yourself in check. You need to calm down. And I started doing that. And then it just gradually, after about 2 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, it just gradually came to a stop. And every once in a while, we have a little something happen, but it's usually when I'm stressed out or. Okay.
How are you feeling right now? You feeling okay?
I'm feeling pretty good right now.
All right. Awesome, dude. Good. All right. Now, being a person who delves in the green, we'll call it that for now, has it given you any insight into yourself? Because that's what happened with me. Like when I first started, I mean, a couple times when I was younger, but for real, when I was about 35. And, you know, because I was having these issues. So my ex-wife was like, hey, maybe you should, you know, try something to calm you down. And it used to give me a lot of anxiety. And but the anxiety, like when I pushed through, right, and what happened is that I got incredible insight about myself and the way, like it makes you go. Sometimes it'll beat you up and say, hey, you know, you need to do this and this and that. And there's also other times where it's like, no, dude, you're worrying too much about this. You're doing just fine. Have you has this experiences been similar to you as well?
The green helps me a lot. The green has helped me open my third eye. The green helps me see things a lot clearer. Right. When I'm meditating, I love right before I meditate and then putting on some good, either some Indian tribal music, music or some good, you know, some good megahertz, stuff like that, some good vibrations. Okay. If I put on the right vibes and meditate to them, I can do some crazy stuff.
Oh, dude. Okay, I'm with you, bro. I do that too. I like to listen to psychedelic doom metal.
I'm gonna let her tell you what she has seen me do while I was meditating.
Okay, fire away.
I don't know if I still have the video. I'd have to find the phone, but we have a video somewhere where we were in Florida, and this is when he was heavy meditating, and he would sage and he would do all his fancy stuff, and he'd get his crystals set up and he'd cleanse them and everything, and he'd have one in one hand and one in another, and he'd just sit there and he'd just hold them and then his hands were just turning like this. And before you know it, his hands were like this, and the crystals were still there.
All right, Jenny.
It's weird.
All right.
It's weird. It's weird.
I believe you.
I do it because I can literally feel the energy between the two crystals. And I can feel them pushing against each other. It's literally like a force. As I push together, it's literally a force pushing back.
And it held him into place.
And it holds them in place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow,
really,
dude.
And what started that was I was meditating with a piece of quartz, clear quartz in my hand. And it was an odd shaped piece of quartz. But I'm just sitting there and I'm deep into meditation. And she's sitting there watching me. And all of a sudden, that piece of quartz just stands up on end. Like it was nothing. And it freaked. I felt it kind of vibrate a little bit at first on my hand. And then next thing you know, it popped straight up in the air. And I'm like, I dropped it. I'm like, what just happened? You know?
Okay. Since we're sharing stories, I was, like I said, going through the stuff like you were in Florida. For me, it was in Germany. I was in my bed, dark room. I'm listening to a song called "In Our Blood" from a band called Yob. It's a 13-minute, awesome vibe, powerful. I'm going to send you some music, Mike, that you can meditate to and tell me if you feel the vibe that I'm telling you. And I was doing this Wim Hof breathing technique. Have you heard of Wim Hof? Okay, check him out, dude. WIMHOF, Wim Hof, and it, very cool breathing technique. I was doing this technique while smoking weed, while meditating, and at the same time listening to this music. And I was able to separate my body from my soul and see, like I was floating over like a dark space with like green grid lines in it, and it freaked me out. And I went, and I fucking boom, pulled myself right back into my body, dude. So I believe you, dude. It's amazing what we can do. We just don't know, man.
She sent you that video. She sent you that video of that shadow going through the room.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We were showing that to the paranormal group. We, at the time, neither one of us were sleeping in the bedroom. That's where most of the activity was that we were experiencing, was in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both started sleeping in the living room for a while, but I done lost my train of thought now. What was
you did it now.
I know. Getting old sucks.
I'm going through a very serious bout of constipation. I'm with you, Mike. I'm with you. The worst I've ever. Oh yeah. You know, it's better. It's still a little painful, like in my back lower right. And I'm telling you, you can use this stuff to pave your freaking driveway. So I understand getting old is not fun. Don't worry about the train, dude. So you were in the bedroom.
Magnesium.
Yes, magnesium, but I'm taking the pills are here somewhere. I'm taking some I can't think of it. Laxative at the moment. That seems to help. But magnesium, yes, I know. I was talking to my ex-wife and telling her, and she was like, yeah, go get some magnesium. You know that, butthead. I'm like, all right. So yeah, dude. Here's the interesting thing about it being in your bedroom. Okay, so when you're sleeping, that's when that conscious beta wave stuff changes. Your alpha beta waves change, and that's when you're the most vulnerable, and that's when this activity is happening, dude. It makes complete and utter sense.
They said that black mist going through our bedroom, that
yes,
could have been me astro projecting going through the house.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, I've never astro projected as far as I know, but it would be cool.
Yeah, I'm a little afraid of any of that kind of stuff. I have a friend of mine, Neil Ballas, who can astral project and fly, and he had a story where he said he was flying so fast that the world that he was creating with his conscious would not keep up. It was turning into like a black hole as he was flying through the universe. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? Yeah, dude, check it out, guys. It's on the show.
I had somebody tell me, was it the guy from MUFON told me that I could be used for remote viewing?
Yes.
Yeah, that with my gifts, I could be used for remote viewing or channeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Empathy is a very interesting thing. You can actually probably, Mike, if I'd imagine, you can walk into a room full of people you don't know, and you can know who the good person is. Not just by body language.
I can pick them out. And
like
people,
this.
I can pick people out left and right just by looking at them. I can, even on TV, I can feel somebody on TV, how they are.
Oh, yeah. Most of them are like what I feel. Most of them are fake. Most of them have an agenda. And
That's
then when you
why
run across it,
that's why I don't watch TV anymore, because even the reality shows, even the paranormal shows, you can just tell it's fake. You know,
okay.
especially since my eyes been open and I've seen all this other stuff happening, and now I know what's going on. I can. It's weird. I mean, I can.
I
tell
understand, man. You don't have to
real-
explain it to me. But have you checked out the Dead
Yeah.
Chronicles from Austin Lawrence? I had him on last night. Go ahead and check
he
that
hasn't
out.
seen any of those yet.
No, I haven't
Yeah,
seen any of those.
he just released the first episode, I think, on Thursday, and we actually went through that, and he was talking about the fakeness of those paranormal shows where there's always something that has to happen, and ooh, what was that? Or the thing I dislike the most is like the EVP thing. You'll hear like a noise. You'll hear sometimes it's clear. Sometimes there's a noise, and it'll say, "Oh, it's saying this." I'm like, that's not what I hear.
Let me hear it. Let me listen to it myself. Let me figure it out myself. Don't put it across the screen, because that's just subliminal message. Everybody's going to hear it. Whatever
Absolutely.
you put across that screen, that's what people are going to hear.
Yep.
Let me hear it myself without telling me what it's saying.
Okay,
That's what I want.
So this stuff is starting to happen now in your house. Have you also found out that even at this particular moment in time when so now you're having, to bring it to, we'll probably have another episode. I'm pretty sure there's more. I mean, hopefully this will help. Help you trust me. Just be honest. Just make it fair. that this is what I do. And maybe one time on a live so people can really, because there's people out there who are interested and are going to want to ask you questions, and you're doing great, man. You're doing great. You too, Jenny. Mike is the the main course, and you're throwing in the sides right now. You're doing great. So, mashed potatoes, corn, we're good.
She's the best support I've ever had.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I have never in my life been able to open up to anybody like I've opened up to her about things
that's wonderful, dude. It's so hard to find someone like that. I'm sure, Jenny, you feel the same way about Mike. You're just like, yeah, and you have that emotional connection, because I was married for over 20 years, and then we separated for 6 months, and then I met her, and I hardly spoke any Spanish. She hardly spoke any English, but with translator apps. And you get to like build this picture of a person, and then once the language just starts working, like I speak still more Spanish than she does English, but we're getting there because I'm forced to. I live in Mexico. Every day you're confronted with it, and you meet someone because once you're married, you don't think you'll ever find that again. But I think it's great that even though these things are both happening to you, you seem to be, you're thriving. You got this business going, you're both spending a lot of time around each other, which can also make, up for a lot of separation and relationships and stuff like that. So finding that dude and lady is an incredible thing. And I'm super happy for you guys.
You want to hear one of the craziest stories, a couple of the craziest stories.
Go for it, man. Sure.
Every time I've always went through paralysis. One time I woke up on a cold bed, hard bed, couldn't move. And every time I've ever woke up with sleep paralysis, I mean, anybody who does that, they try to fight to break free from that, to try to move, no matter how bad. I woke up on this cold table. I had a tall gray. I had that big greenish brown reptilian over here on the right side of me. And then a little short thing sitting over here on the left side of me. And I was fighting to get up. And I broke free, believe it or not, I broke free from the paralysis and sat up on that cold bed. And the big reptilian looking creature grabbed me and pushed me back down on the hard bed. And that's when I woke up in my bed. When my body hit that cold bed, I woke up in my bed. That was terrifying.
Yeah, dude.
And I actually sat down when MUFON was involved. I sat down and drew pictures.
Yeah.
And I can't find them, or I would show them to you. We've been looking for them, but I drew
you'll
pictures
find them. Yeah.
of all the creatures I've seen.
Okay.
Species, whatever you want to call them. Some of them look like creatures.
You can always draw them again.
So, but
yeah, true, Jenny. Look at that. Look at that rationale. I love it. Mike, you still have a right hand, don't you? We'll get a number 2 pencil. Let's go.
That's just like talking about it. I've got to be in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, man. But that's what I try to do, man. It's important.
And I try to open up. And
You're doing great, dude.
but it's so hard. I mean, I'm actually doing better today than I was with other people I've talked to, Paranormal Group and Move On. I mean, I was a nervous wreck talking to them about it. As soon as I start talking about it, I break down. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little shaky, but not as bad.
Well, if you ever get a chance, another great interview, a sweetheart of a fucking dude is Magical, man. You know, Daniel Cahoon. He's a sweetheart of a guy.
He's been wanting to do a podcast with me too.
Oh, has he? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's someone that would suggest Jim, of course. You know, Jim's a sweetheart.
Yep.
And, you know, just I think it'll help you too, brother, if you go ahead and just kind of, you know, say it. It happens a lot of people, you know. Yeah, I had Darren Franks on. You know, Darren Franks. He had the divine intervention from the Archangel Michael, and his what happened to him in Bankhead Forest in what was it, Alabama, and he's like, man, you know, and then he just started opening up, and it's gotten easier for him, and like sometimes the acceptance of the oddities of life, in whatever way we come to those acceptances, helps, whether it's, you know what I mean? Because your experiences are real to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
My experiences are real to me, just like everyone else's experience. I'm sure Jenny's had experiences as well, especially being around you. You know, she's probably had things where she has a hard time telling you, Mike, where you're like, I don't
how
know.
unbelievable they sound.
Right, dude. And it's okay.
Experiences that you experienced, you know.
Right.
I mean,
it's even hard to describe.
That chunk of skin they took off my arm. Why?
Right.
Are they cloning me?
Do you still have a scar? Do you still have a scar on your arm?
Oh yeah. The scar is still clear as I don't know if you'll be able to see it there, right there.
Oh my God,
see,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When it blistered up, a couple of places on the edges where it peels the blister and stuff. But yeah, it's perfect rectangle right there.
That's plain as day, dude. That's plain as day. Yeah.
And if you look at it, if you were here and you looked at it at a certain angle, you can see where it's indented, where they actually took a chunk out of there. Why? Is there a clone of me somewhere? And I ask, I mean, just like anybody else who's been through what I've through, why me? You know, what makes me so special or not special? Or
well, this is a little phrase that might help you out. That's helped me out in my life. It's like, life doesn't happen to you, brother. It happens for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just look at it maybe through that lens and just kind of think about it. Maybe you have a purpose that you're still unraveling and unveiling within yourself first. Because, you know, to go back to where people are like, oh, you can help others with your abilities. I think the first thing that you have to do is be right with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And I truly believe that, you know, speaking with me today is maybe one of the initial steps in doing that.
Yeah.
You know, if I could go back in time, if I could travel back in time one time and come back, I would go back to 1954, President Eisenhower, and I would bust him in his nose for signing that damn treaty.
Oh yeah,
with the aliens, they can abduct us and run tests on us and do what they want as long as they brought us back. You know, you ain't got my permission. Just because some dude gave you permission to do what you want to me, don't mean you can.
I don't think I've ever heard that. Always, everyone wants to go back and off Hitler. You know what I mean? And like,
I want to punch Eisenhower. He had no business giving them permission to mess with anybody on this planet.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you. I think you know what I mean? Like, this whole soft disclosure stuff is, I don't know.
They need to come out with a hard disclosure and quit playing around.
Yeah, and I think we're ready for it. I mean, all the weirdness that's going on in the world, the freaking Spain's power shuts down, and we're like, what is all this stuff? And why can't you just say,
we're in the end times. We're in the end times. It's all there is to it.
I think I look at it differently, man. I look at it as like we're in the birth canal. We're in the birth canal. You know, you kind of squeeze tight. You're coming from the amniotic fluid of, like, you know, everything's okay. You get food pumped into your body and it's warm. And we're going through the birth canal into the next iteration of whatever this is. That's my opinion. So it might hurt.
Bumpy ride ahead of us, a really bad ride ahead of us. I've been having some pretty vivid visions here lately.
Okay.
And I've got this. I've had a weird feeling for a long time. And
I've had it too.
Something right around the corner.
I'm ready.
I'm,
I'm ready. I'm here for it, man. I'm here for
I'm
it. Like,
ready for it to happen.
just try to take that part where you're like, okay, it's maybe, you're your own person, and I will never tell you what you should be doing with your feelings, your emotions, and your life. But maybe you take that and say, we might have to go through this hard stuff. You might have to go through the watermelon rind to get to the sweet fruit inside.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because maybe something will, like, maybe like this because like you coming on the show today and me being the medium in which you pass through to get this information out will help some, because that's what you were telling me at the beginning of your phone call, that you want to because there's people out there who've had these experiences,
Right.
and are also kind of like guarded, and they can't talk about them. But maybe if we grow together and realize that we've all had this kind of thing, that maybe that will like flip a switch psychically in the what's it called, the unconscious collective of the humanity, in which we can maybe push through to get to somewhere's better, man. Just,
really, my experience really opened the paranormal investigators' eyes to where they're not only doing paranormal, but they're expanding out and doing more investigating on interdimensional and extraterrestrial and stuff like that. Because if you think about it, they're all combined together. Everything is paranormal.
Yeah.
Whether it be extraterrestrial, interdimensional, spiritual, it's all paranormal.
Right.
And they're all intertwined in one way or another. The aliens are connected to interdimensional, and interdimensional connected to this. It's all connected together. And it's just, if we was to get every paranormal research group out there, whether it be Bigfoot researchers, ghost researchers, extraterrestrial researchers, to get them all together and share their facts, they would find there's a lot more in common with all these.
Oh, there's a ton of overlap. And I think it's starting to happen slowly. You see, there'll be a Bigfoot conference, like they just had a Smoky Mountain Bigfoot conference in I think it was in Clarksville, Tennessee, somewhere's around there. And Daniel was there, and they're like more ghosty. And then you had Harley out there, and then you had Jim out there, and Jim's, he actually went with Harley. I'm going to actually be talking with him about their experiences. Yeah, Daniel just had him on, but I'm going to do it too with him. And I think more people are actually connecting, and the bigger this ball grows, the more answers we will get. And I think the answer is more, it's personal, and we realize that we're all separate, but in that separateness, we are one. We are the same thing, just different iterations of the Godhead. That's the way I look at it. And I want to thank both of you so very much for coming on and sharing your experiences today. I really appreciate it. Finally, great to put a face to both of you guys. We've been interacting for the better part of 6 months now. Yeah. Jenny's always sent, hey, Tom, can you send me a picture of your thing? And I'm at work. I'm at busting concrete, whatever I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it now. I'm just so busy. And it's been fantastic. And please tell me one more time where people can find you and where they can get a hold of what you make, buddy.
You can find us on both TikTok and Facebook at Mystical Mountain Creations. Just DM us, message us. Don't send friend requests on Facebook. I got it set up where you can just message or DM me straight, because I get so many friends requests, I can't accept all of them.
Oh, it's impossible. You know how many bots are out there? You know how many I get? You know how many I get, dude? There's always some woman with a push-up bra, or some weird guy with a freaking satanic head on him or something. Like, hey, like, come on, man, get out of here. Right. And then you go to the profile, and it's all just different pictures of them, and it's only like 2 years old, and you're like, this is a bot. So go ahead and DM Mike if you want some. One more time, could you show the people an example? Can you show an example? An example one more time of what you guys do, so they can see it.
We make the tumblers. We do any kind of design you want. We customize them however you want. We can put pictures on them. We can put faces on them. We can put names on them.
That's awesome. All right.
It's something we enjoy doing, and we're not looking to become millionaires doing it. We just do it for fun.
Yeah.
And you'll find our prices will be cheaper than anybody else's prices with the tumblers. We're not, like I said, we're not in it to be greedy or to make a lot of money. We're just, it's like I was telling her, I want to be the guy that people come to because they want something, they can't afford it, what other people are charging.
That's a good. Yeah, dude, it's a good route, but at the same time, you're getting a couple things out of it. You get the network with people, especially going through the channels that that you're here talking with me and you guys helping me out on the show and all that. So you're going to meet people like yourself who's had his experiences, but at the same time, you get that itch, that scratch you have to create and be artistic and help somebody at the same time. I'm sure it's a big part of it too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I want to appreciate. I think
want to be people out there to help the middle class.
Yeah.
You know, if you go to TikTok or TikTok Shop or somewhere like that, and you look at these tumblers like this, and you'll see some of them price $75, $90. You know, that's ridiculous. You know, we've been making them for over 2 years now. We know exactly how much it costs to make them.
Right.
And so.
Yeah. So
the other ones under the bus, but
but there's no point being greedy about it. We just want to be there to help people out.
Absolutely, man. Okay, one more time, guys. I appreciate both of you coming on today, and I'll see you in the moderating chat. And it's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate it so very much.
All right.
You have a good night.
You too, buddy. All right, All right, I'll see you guys in a minute. Okay, guys. So I'm going to take the videos that Mike and Jenny sent me, and I'm going to put them right here.
No, I'll just make a video because it doesn't show. Like, there's one, and there's another one.
But if it was something like that, and here's one right here.
Is there one over there?
Yeah. So whatever it was, walk this way. See how the grass is laying down?
Yeah.
Walk this way.
You can
There's
see
a footprint there. And there's one there.
But it goes all the way up.
There's one there.
So what do you guys think about that? I thought they were pretty cool. He sent them to me, and thank you guys very much for Jenny and Mike for allowing me to show those on my show. And if you keep coming back to the show, please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, we are the eye. We are aware. Love you all.